Hi everyone, in this video we are going to identify x and y intercepts of linear functions in standard form. So first off, to find an x-intercept, what we are going to do is we're going to plug in 0 for y and solve for x. And for a y-intercept, to solve it, we are going to plug in 0 for x and solve for y. So in our first example, we have find the x and y intercept of the linear function negative 7x minus 3y equals 21. And then we want to graph the line using the x and y intercepts. So first off, we are going to find our x-intercept. So to find our x-intercept, we will plug in 0 for y and solve for x. So I'm going to rewrite my expression, negative 7x minus 3y equals 21. I'm going to go ahead and draw my line through the equal sign, and I'm going to plug in 0 for y. So negative 7x minus 3 times 0. And now I'm going to solve for x. So negative 3 times 0 is 0, so I'm just left with a negative 7x equals 21. To get x by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 7. And I get x equals 21 divided by negative 7 is a negative 3. Therefore, my x-intercept is negative 3, 0. I'm going to go ahead and plot that point right here. Next, I am going to solve for my y-intercept. So to do this, I am going to plug in 0 for x and solve for y. So what this looks like, again, I'm just going to rewrite my equation. Okay, I'm going to plug in 0 for x this time. And now I'm going to solve for y. So negative 7 times 0 is 0. That leaves me with a negative 3y equals 21. To get y by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. Y equals 21 divided by negative 3, which is negative 7. So my y-intercept is 0, negative 7. So I'm going to go ahead and plot that point down here. And then all I need to do is connect the 2 points to graph my line. So this would be the line of negative 7x minus 3y equals 21. Moving on to example number 2, find the x-intercept and y-intercept of the linear function y equals 3 halves, x equals negative 3. Y plus 3 halves x equals negative 3, I'm sorry. So, again, I'm going to start by finding the x-intercept. To do that, I plug in 0 for y. So I have y plus 3 halves x, which is equal to negative 3. I'm going to draw a line through my equal sign. I plug in 0 for y, which leaves me with 3 halves x equals negative 3. In order to get x by itself, I'm going to divide by 3 halves on both sides. And when I do that, those cancel out. I'm left with x equals negative 3 times 3 halves would be negative 2. So my x-intercept is negative 2, 0. And then I'm going to find my y-intercept. So to find my y-intercept, I have y plus 3 halves x equals negative 3. I'm going to draw a line through my equal sign. And now I plug in 0 for x. When I do that, I get y equals negative 3. So my y-intercept is 0, negative 3, which is this point down here. And then I connect the 2 dots to graph the linear function. So go ahead and pause the video and try example 3 on your own. So hopefully you gave it a try. We want to solve, oh, this looks like it's the exact same one as earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and skip it. It will be changed, so go ahead and make sure you try this on your own, even though it's different than the one in my video. And then just check with your teacher to make sure it's right. But looking at number 4, we're going to get into some word problems. So Jose has $30 to spend on food for a class barbecue. Hot dogs X cost 75 cents each, and burgers Y cost $1.25 each. Write an equation that represents the situation and plot a graph that shows the combinations of all hot dogs and burgers that he could buy for the barbecue, expending exactly $30. And this should say B-U-Y, buy. There we go. Okay, so first off, an equation. Okay, well, he can only spend $30, so that's all he can spend up to. And it tells us our hot dogs are X, and it costs 75 cents each. So that's going to be 0.75X plus my burgers that cost $1.25 each, and that's Y. And it has to equal $30 because that's all he has to spend. So there's our equation. Not too hard, hopefully. So now to find all the possible combinations, we need to find our X and our Y intercepts. Okay, so I want to start by finding the X-intercept. So to find the X-intercept, I'm going to take the equation and plug in 0 for Y. And I'm going to solve for X. So what that leaves me with is 0.75X equals 30. So to get X by itself, I need to divide both sides by 0.75. When I do that, I get X equals 40, which tells me I can buy, if I don't buy any burgers, I can buy 40 hot dogs. Okay, then my Y-intercept means I'm going to plug in 0 for X and solve for Y. Okay, so when I do that, I get 1.25Y equals 30. So I take 30 and I divide it by 1.25 or $1.25. And I get Y equals 24. So that tells me if I buy no hot dogs, I can buy 24 burgers. Okay, so a graph, this is going to be a rough sketch of the graph. And being able to understand the meaning of it is very important. So I know my X-intercept is going to be over here at 40. My Y-intercept is going to be somewhere over here at 24. I have a point here and a point here. So it should look like this. So again, what it tells me is for my X-intercept, if I buy exactly 40 hot dogs, I cannot buy any burgers. My Y-intercept tells me if I buy exactly 24 burgers, I can't buy any hot dogs. And everything in between is the combination of hot dogs and burgers I can buy. Okay. So if I wanted to write my X and Y intercepts properly, I have 40, 0 and 0, 24. Okay. Next, a movie theater charges $7.50 for adult tickets, X, and $4.50 for children's tickets or for child tickets, Y. If a theater makes $900 in one night, write an equation and draw a graph that depicts the possibilities for the number of adult and children tickets that can be sold. So, my equation would look something like 750x plus 450y for the children's tickets equals the total amount that they made, which was $900 in one night. So what this looks like if we're trying to find our x-intercept would be 750x plus 450 times 0 equals 900. So when we do that, we get 750x equals 900. I need to divide both sides by 750. And that tells me that x would equal 120, which means I could buy 120 adult tickets and 0 children's tickets and make $900 at the theater. Okay, then my y-intercept would be plugging in 0 for x and solving for y. So that would leave me with 450y equals 900. So what I would need to do is divide both sides by 450. And when I do that, I get y equals 200. So if only children's tickets were bought, they could buy 200 children's tickets for $900. So if I want to write it properly as x and y intercepts, we got 120, 0 and 0, 200. So again, the x-intercept tells me how many adult tickets can be bought with no children's tickets. The y-intercept tells me how many children's tickets are bought without any adult tickets. And then the graph would represent anything in between and those combinations. So if I plot it, it would look something like, let's say this is 120, and then this would be 200, and everything in between is the combinations that you can buy for adult and children's tickets. So I want you to try example 8 on your own, see if you can get it right. So go ahead and pause the video. So hopefully you paused the video and gave it a try. So in football, touchdowns are worth 6 points, field goals are worth 3 points, and safeties are worth 2 points. Suppose there were no safeties in the touchdown or in the team scored 36 points. Man, a lot of typos. And the team scored 36 points. Graph the situation to determine the combinations of field goals and touchdowns that the team could have had. Well, let's come up with an equation, because equations always help. So we know that there was a total of 36 points scored. Let's say that touchdowns, there's 6 points. Let's say that touchdowns are x, so we have 6x. And field goals are 3 points, so let's use that as y. Okay, there were no safeties, so we don't have to worry about that extra information. That's just stuff they like to throw at us to confuse us, which often works. So I have my equation here. So if I want to know how many touchdowns I could score or my team could score without any field goals, okay, what I want to do is find the x-intercept. So if I find the x-intercept, it would be 36 equals 6x plus 3 times 0. I plug in 0 for y. So when I do that, I get 36 equals 6x. I divide both sides by 6. I get x equals 6. So if my team only scores touchdowns and no field goals, they would have to score 6 touchdowns to get 36 points. Okay, that is 6 touchdowns, no safeties, gets me 36 points. That's what the x-intercept represents. My y-intercept would be 36 equals 6 times 0 plus 3y, which is 36 equals 3y. I divide both sides by 3. I get y equals 12. So what this tells me is if I score 12 field goals and no touchdowns, I can have 36 points. So on a graph, what this would look like is 12 touchdowns somewhere up here, or 12 field goals somewhere up here, 6 touchdowns somewhere down here. Everything in between would be a combination of touchdowns and field goals that would add to get me 36 points. Okay, so don't forget to write your safety and any questions you may have, and make sure you ask your teacher if you need any help. Other than that, have a great day, Rangers.